Okay, let's jump right into this explainer. Have you ever wished you could literally travel through time? Just, watch empires rise and fall, or trace the very origins of a whole culture just by staring out a train window? Well, today, we're doing exactly that. We're going to craft the ultimate daily travel guide for China's civilization access. It's like a high-speed time machine, and we're about to traverse the very soul of the Chinese dynasties. 3,000 years. That's the sheer volume of history we're talking about covering here. 3 millennia of profound civilization. Honestly, it's a scale that's almost hard to wrap your head around when you're just looking at it in a textbook. But when you actually travel it, it completely comes alive. And here's the absolute magic of our high-speed time machine. You can digest all 3,000 years of that history in a comprehensive 25 to 30-day itinerary. By tapping into China's massive high-speed rail network, the physical distances between these ancient capitals just shrink. You're literally connecting historical eras at over 300 kilometers per hour. It's a total game changer. So consider this your route itinerary for the ultimate historical cycle. We'll start by boarding the time machine, head to Shanxi for faith and finance, hit Shaanxi for the imperial peak, Henan for origins and urban marvels, Shandong for sages and sacred peaks, and finally, Tianjin for the modern shift. All right, Section 1. Boarding the time machine. We're starting our journey at the chronological end of the imperial era, which, perfectly enough, is where our rail loop both begins and ends. Every region on our journey anchors a really distinct foundational piece of China's civilization access. You'd kick things off with about 4 days in Beijing. This is your anchor for the late empire. We're talking Ming and Qing dynasties and modern China. You explore the Forbidden City, the Temple of Heaven, the Great Wall, basically soaking in the last 600 years of imperial history before we truly step back into the deep past. Moving on to Section 2, Shaanxi, Faith and Finance. Leaving Beijing's grand palaces behind, we hop on our first high-speed train to delve into ancient faiths and massive financial empires, setting aside about 7 days for this region. Check out the rhythm of this route compared to the deep antiquity of where we're stopping. Just 2 hours from Beijing, and boom, you're in Datong. 3 hours after that, you're in Pingyao. It's just an incredibly efficient way to navigate through thousands of years of human achievement. In Datong and Wutaishan, we are witnessing the absolute peak of Northern Wei Buddhist art. Imagine stepping off a sleek modern train and walking right into the Yangon grottoes to see this breathtaking fusion of nomadic Xi'an culture with the Central Plains. Then you head to Mount Wutai, the premier sacred domain of Manjusri Bodhisattva. It's a really deeply spiritual way to kick off the journey. Then we jump down to Pingyao. Now, this wasn't just beautiful architecture, it was essentially the Wall Street of ancient China. This place was the beating heart of the Jin merchants' financial empire. Honestly, walking through places like the Rishengcheng Draft Bank completely redefines how you view historical economies. It's fascinating. Which brings us to Section 3, Shaanxi, the imperial peak. Next up, we take a 3-hour train ride from Taiwan straight into the absolute zenith of China's imperial power. We're diving into a city that literally ruled the ancient world. Xi'an demands a full 6 days of our itinerary because it represents the most magnificent, globally influential periods of Chinese history. I mean, when you're standing in Xi'an, you're standing at the eastern terminus of the ancient Silk Road. How cool is that? Every single stop on this Xi'an leg is a monumental heavyweight. You've got the awe-inspiring terracotta warriors from the Qin dynasty, the majestic giant wild goose pagoda from the Tang dynasty, and the sprawling Deming Palace ruins. It is quite literally an absolute masterclass in empire building. All right, Section 4, Henan, Origins and Urban Marvels. From the heights of empire, a quick hour-and-a-half high-speed dash takes us from Xi'an to Henan. This is the very cradle where the Central Plains civilization was born, and we'll spend another 6 days here. We're going to move through this 6-day segment chronologically. First, 3 exhilarating days in Luoyang tracing Buddhist origins. Then, a day in Dengfeng to explore the Shaolin Temple, the ultimate sanctuary of Chinese martial arts and Zen Buddhism. And finally, we spend 2 days in Kaifeng, just marveling at the height of ancient urban development. This leg of the trip creates an incredible historical whiplash. Think about it. A mere 40-minute train ride separates Luoyang, where Buddhism officially entered China at the White Horse Temple, from Kaifeng, which was the bustling cosmopolitan center of the northern Song dynasty.
You're traversing centuries of cultural evolution in less time than a modern daily commute.
Next up, Section 5, Shandong, Sages and Sacred Peaks. Leaving Kaifeng, a 3-hour journey brings us to Shandong Province, the undeniable bedrock of Chinese philosophy and spirit. Over our 6 days in Shandong, the scenery and the whole spirit of the trip shift dramatically. We start in Qufu, the birthplace of Confucianism, wandering the ancient Confucius temple. Then we move to Tai'an for sheer natural and spiritual majesty, before completely shifting gears again in Qingdao to experience its unique German concession architecture and modern ocean culture. Now, while in Tai'an, you absolutely have to stand on Mount Tai. It's a geographical marvel that literally served as the spiritual stairway for emperors. Throughout history, rulers would come here to conduct the Fengshan sacrifices, essentially seeking heaven's mandate. It is this incredibly powerful symbol of the national spirit that you can actually hike yourself today. Getting near the end of our trip now, Section 6, Tianjin and the Modern Shift. A 4-hour rail journey from coastal Qingdao speeds us right out of antiquity and crashes us directly into modern history. Welcome to Tianjin. Tianjin preserves one of the most complete collections of concession culture in the entire country. Walking through Wudadao or the Italian-style area, you visually experience the intense clash and the ultimate blending of Western and Chinese civilizations that completely defined the turn of the 20th century. But honestly, the most unbelievable convenience of this entire journey? From Tianjin, in barely 35 minutes, your high-speed train loops you right back into Beijing. You've just completed a massive 3,000-year chronological circle right back to where the time machine first launched. No way, right? Before flying home, you've got to take a breath. You can spend one final leisurely day in Beijing. But instead of the ancient sites we saw on days 1 through 4, use this day for a supplementary visit to the National Museum to tie all that newfound knowledge together. Then, just soak in the contemporary pulse of the 798 art zone and the modern architectural marvels of the Olympic Park. Okay, real quick, if you have the luxury of time and you're pushing past that 30-day mark, adding some bonus stops will make your exploration even more robust. Exploring the ancient ruins of Yingshu and Anyang, or marveling at the sheer engineering of the Yingshan wooden pagoda in Shanxi, which, by the way, is an architectural marvel built entirely out of timber without a single nail, adds these incredibly rich layers to your understanding of China's structural depth. So, can you truly understand 3,000 years of civilization in just 30 days? Well, it's a massive undertaking for sure, but as this explainer has shown, connecting the dots of a 3-millennial-old civilization is no longer relegated to dry textbooks. High-speed rail has literally turned geography into a time machine. The only question left is, if modern engineering allows you to conquer 3,000 years of time in just a month, which dynasty are you going to visit first?